So thanks everybody for joining us here today. We're very happy to be part of the Raucous Bloom Virtual User Conference. We know it's a different format than what we're used to, but we're happy to be able to be here and support and talk about CertiPro and our Elink product. So just a quick overview about CertiPro and who we are. So we are a Gold Sage development partner. We are headquartered in Los Angeles. We've been in business for almost 10 years. And we support Sage 100, 300, 500. We build out products for all of those Sage products, including X3. And we are Sage centric, so we don't work with any other ERP. So everything we do is basically built around the Sage ecosystem. So with that, today, again, my name is Simon Quinn. I'm the Director of Sales. Also with me is Nick Young. He is our Senior ERP Consultant. He's also the Elink Product Manager. Today, we're going to be covering our connector between Magento and what is now Adobe Commerce. The slide deck's going to be updated after this meeting. Integration with Sage. So I'm going to give you an overview and talk about the concept of our Elink software. I'm also going to talk about Magento a little bit. And then we're going to hand it over to Nick to perform some of the fun stuff, which will be actual transactions, you know, like building out. We're going to be showing you how you can build out a business partner portal. We'll show you how a customer logs in, places some transactions, looks at orders, looks at products, pricing, inventory, etc. And we'll show you the integration between Sage and the Magento web store. So often successful online businesses are going to reach a point where they are spending more time and money managing data in both their web store and in Sage. So you're managing your product information, the pricing, the stock levels, the customer information, and the web orders across two platforms. And it can, at times, become problematic and a real pain point. So when you have an e-commerce platform that's seamlessly integrated with Sage, using our CertiPro Elink software with Magento, this key information is now going to be synchronized between both systems. So this reduces time spent dealing with data entry in both systems, and ultimately it maximizes profits and improves customer satisfaction. So CertiPro has created a product called Elink, and it's a syncing technology that is a powerful tool which synchronizes data both ways. So now your Sage product and customer information can be updated to your web store or your business partner portal 24/7. Online orders can now be created in Sage and are ready to be processed within minutes. And this is all completed without running manual batch jobs or manual export-import procedures. It's completely automatic. The data securely flows between Sage and the web store in encrypted files. So this makes your company's backend completely anonymous and secure. And so because the web store is hosted outside of your Sage environment, the customer never has direct access to Sage. So having an online store means that you're open for business all the time. Now you can have an integrated e-commerce solution with your Sage ERP with this Elink tool. So we make it approachable, we make it affordable for businesses to have an online presence, both for B2B, business to business, and for B2C, for business to consumer. So I want to just take a step back briefly and just talk about Magento and why Magento. So Adobe Commerce, or I should say Adobe purchased Magento about 3 years ago, roughly. And they're slowly but surely starting to rebrand Magento into what is Adobe Commerce that is powered by Magento. But that's a story for another meeting. So for these purposes, we're going to be just focusing on Magento as an e-commerce platform. So there's both a community or a free version, and there is a commerce version, which is a paid option. And we'll kind of cover this, if we have time, a little bit as we go through this in more detail. Now, the world's biggest brands love Magento for its flexibility, primarily because today's consumers and their buying patterns are changing by the minute. Only Magento, which is both open source and agile, can help your customers adapt and thrive. So there's a global ecosystem of about 150,000 developers, and with network solution partners like CertiPro, we're able to bridge the two products together. Magento businesses really do sell more at a lower total cost of operation than merchants on other competitive platforms. So Magento also gives you the flexibility to customize and extend your platform to create unique, differentiated, branded experiences. The Magento Marketplace, if you've never seen it, it's really the world's largest and most versatile. There's numerous customized and tested extensions, and these extensions can extend a store's features any way you want. So jumping back to the core here of this meeting, this discussion, this demo, if you will, I just want to talk about how our product Elink actually works. So Elink is actually two parts. So one is an API that runs on top of the Sage server that allows us to talk to Sage using the Sage business objects. So with our Elink API, if you come in and you tell it to create an order, it's actually going to create the order as if you're tabbing through all the fields in Sage. So it's not just putting data in a database. So what that means is any business logic that's built into Sage, we're going to be following all of the same business logic with the Elink API. So we built out our software for both sides, so both on the Magento side and the Sage side from the ground up. And doing so gives us the flexibility to create a plethora of modifications and customizations for you or your customers. So whatever the need might be, we are completely approachable and have the capability to get that done. So we create and author everything in-house. And as I said earlier, we only build these applications for Sage. So this is basically all we do. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing and we're going to get into the Nick portion of this show. And we'll do some transactions and show you this functionality in more detail.
All right, thanks, Simon. Okay, let me hide these controls. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of run through our product as Simon just kind of described, and we'll do a sales order. You know, we'll place a order from the web and then we'll bring that into Sage. We'll invoice it from Sage and then show you that going back into the customer's account on the web. And we can even make a payment on the invoice and all of that stuff. So this is our Magento store. Luma is just the default Magento theme that came with Magento. So this is just a fresh installation of Magento. Our Elink extensions are installed here, and then we have our Sage side extensions installed so that we can talk to Sage. So this is basically out of the box functionality for our suite of applications. So we'll just head to a product page. Like Simon said, this is a two-way integration. So you can have it so that when you create products in Sage, it will automatically create the products on the web. We can pull any information that's available for that product and go ahead and put that on the product that we create on the web as well. You can also control what information gets synced during product creation versus product updates. So you may have some simple generic description inside of Sage that we create the product with, but you may come into the website and actually put nice fancy descriptions with, you know, links and styles and things like that. And you don't want to override those when we do updates on the product. So you have full flexibility about how the product gets synced on creation and updates. So you can see we have some tank tops. We're bringing over all the custom customer pricing. So any pricing that can be set up in Sage, contract pricing, price levels, price groups, all of that stuff comes over automatically into the web. So based on the customer that's logged into the website, they're going to see their actual price as it's set up in Sage. So if you went and opened an order form in Sage and you put in a customer number and then you put in a product and a quantity, the price that comes up in that order frame in Sage, that's what they would see here as well. Even the quantity breaks or price tiers that you might have set up in Sage, those would also be visible here. We bring inventory levels over, so you can control in stock and out of stock on the web based on your actual inventory in Sage. In Magento, there's some granular flexibility as far as how that works as well. So you could have some products that are always in stock. You don't care what the actual inventory level is, versus some products that you want to use the Sage inventory and say this is in stock or out of stock based on my actual inventory. So you have the ability to do that with this solution as well. I'm going to go ahead and just grab a couple of these tank tops and we'll add them to the cart. And we'll grab 3. So when we get to the checkout, you'll notice in the checkout, we have customer address information already here. So when you set up your online customer for like a business relationship or a customer that you already have a relationship with, and you link their Sage customer account, they automatically get all of their address information from Sage as well. So if they have multiple shipping addresses set up in Sage, those would all come into their account automatically, and they don't have to go retype their addresses for customers that have already had a relationship with you in the past. So for here, I'm just going to choose the default customer address that's set up here. We'll just pick a default shipping method and we'll head out to the payments methods. So when we get to payments, our solution adds two payment methods to Magento. So the first is our bill me payment method, which is using the customer's terms inside of Sage. So you can set up which terms are going to be basically terms customers versus credit card only customers. And based on the logged in customer and their terms, this payment method will appear and disappear during the checkout. So you can have customers that are credit card only and they won't be able to check out on account versus your terms accounts who would have this option to check out on account. We also add a credit card payment. So we're supporting all of the major Sage integrated payment processors. So you've got Paya, Sentry, APS, any of those we can support on the web as well. So this is linked to Paya right now, but if you're using APS or Sentry Business, that would also work. And what we do is we do the pre-authorization transaction on the web, and then we bring that transaction token and everything related to that transaction into Sage with the sales order so that the actual post-auth or capture happens during your invoicing process, just as if you entered the credit card directly on the sales order inside of Sage. We will actually check out with the credit card so you can see that process. I'll just use the demo card that we already had set up. Our credit card extensions also have an option for credit card billing address. So there's a billing address that's on the particular order, and you can set that as your billing and shipping address. But there's also an address you can set up for just the credit card in case your credit card billing is different from where you actually want the invoice sent. So for business customers, this tends to be a very nice feature. So we'll go ahead and place this order on the credit card. And then once that order is placed, I'll go ahead and look at the account page. So you'll see we got our confirmation here. And if we go to the account page and we go under sales orders, you can see here that sales order is sitting under pending sales orders in the web, customer's account on the web. We're using what I call live syncing. So we are completely disconnected from Sage. So this order goes into a queue. And then as soon as the Sage is available, it's going to go ahead and try to export this order. This allows you so that if you're doing maintenance in Sage or Sage isn't available or internet connection to the Sage server isn't available, your website stays up, 99.999% of the time. Customers can still go online, they can place orders, they can print their invoices, they can make payments on their account. As soon as Sage becomes available, all of those transactions will start syncing again in the background. I have this set up for 1 to 5 minutes. So if we refresh this page, you can see that order disappeared out of pending orders. Now that order is actually down here in accepted orders. And it actually has a Sage sales order number with it. The web order number or confirmation number is what's going to be on their email. So I'll show you when we get to Sage. We actually bring that into Sage also so that when your customer service is looking for the order in Sage and the customer gives them a confirmation number, you can still find that order as well. If we look at the order details, this is all coming from Sage. So if you make changes to the order in Sage, say I update this quantity or even update the pricing or whatever it might be, when the customer is looking at the order on their web portal, they're going to see those changed items and they know exactly what's going on with their orders. So for this order, we'll go ahead and go into Sage. Sales order entry, and we'll look at it. So I created a view for web orders here. So you'll see that we added that web order number here as a separate field in the sales order. So like I was mentioning before, you can actually look up the order by that web order number. And if we open this order, you can see we did do the credit card pre-authorization. So that's on the transaction. And then as Simon was discussing earlier, we're using the business objects for creating all of our orders. So when the order is exported to Sage, during that export process, it's going to set the customer number, and that's going to fill in all the customer defaults. And then we're going to go and override the information that we need to from the order on the web so that we have the actual order that was entered. But like Simon was saying, any business object that you built into these forms will also be followed. So if you have some customer validation or anything like that, that logic would all still be followed from the web orders as well. Here you can see the address that we had selected when we checked out. If we look at the lines, we had those 3 tank tops. And if we look at the totals, you can see we're doing credit card, and we have all the credit card transaction information for the pre-authorization here. So this is just like you came and you entered the credit card information here. During your invoicing process, this is going to do the sale or the capture and apply that payment to the invoice. I'm going to go to invoice data entry and create the invoice for this. If you're using shipping data entry or you're using any sort of shipping software like Starship or anything like that, they're going to put the tracking numbers in the exact same place. So I'm going to go ahead and just put in a couple of fake tracking numbers just so you can see how the tracking information goes back to the web. But you'll have full integration with any sort of shipping software you might be using in Sage as well. We'll pull our order number. For this, we'll just ship it complete and tab through to finish the invoice. So the invoice is going to sync back to the website. Might take about a minute or so. And when it does, we'll see the invoice added here. So while that syncs back, I'll show you a couple of other features that we add. So we have our quick order entry form. This is more for like business customers to be able to enter orders more like a PO form rather than having to go through a shopping experience. So normally you have to go to the categories, find your products or search for them here and then add them to a cart and then view the cart and then check out. This lets you just enter SKUs if you know them and quantities. We'll go ahead and you can search by name or description as well very quickly. And we'll add a couple of items to here. And then they get, stock availability, all of their pricing would be here. So if there were pricing tiers and they mouse over, they would see the quantity breaks and things like that. Availability can be changed to show actual stocks. So if you wanted to show your business customers your actual stock availability here, you could as well. And then when they add to cart and checkout, this is going to add all of these items to the cart and go directly to the checkout. So it's a very quick way for your customers to enter an order more like a PO. So we'll go ahead and go back to the sales orders, and you can see that invoices now here on the sales order. If we look at the sales order detail again, you can see at the bottom we have the invoices and tracking numbers. And if we look at the invoice, you can see down at the bottom we have any additional tracking information that would be here as well. We not only have our sales order view that we've been looking at, but we also have this invoice view as well that allows you to search for by invoice information rather than by sales order information. So there's links back and forth to everything. So this is that invoice we just created. We can open the sales order and look at it directly from here. From the sales order, we can open the invoices if we want. And from the invoice view, we can actually see the tracking numbers right here on the list. And then again, when we're viewing here, we're seeing the actual invoice details from Sage. So one thing to note is we're bringing all of the Sage transaction history into Magento, into the customer's account. So it doesn't matter where transaction origination was. If the customer places an order on the website, they see that in their account. But if customer service enters an order directly in Sage, they're also going to see that on their account. So we have these invoices, which are just AR invoices. They don't even have sales orders. They can see that in their account here. And if we go to sales orders, you can see there's sales orders here that don't have a web order number. These were entered directly into the sales order entry inside of Sage. So customer gets a complete view of their account. They can print their invoices and orders, even if they didn't shop on the web, and they can make payments on invoices even if they didn't come on the web. So this can also be set up like a business portal where your customers can just get their invoice and sales order information and make payments on their account. You don't even have to have the shopping experience available to them. So now we have invoices. We also want to be able to either do returns or payments on those invoices. So I'll show you our payments extension next. So if we go to payments here, again, just what I was just talking about, we see all transactions regardless of origination. So here's a check that was sent in by the customer. This is the deposit number from Sage. This is the invoices that check paid and the amounts on those invoices. But then we also have credit card transactions that were done online and those paid invoices as well. So a customer can come into the payments section and they can make a payment. They can select from their saved credit cards if they already have them. They can also add a new credit card directly here if they wanted to. We also do support, if the processor supports it, we support ACH. So you could have the customer come in, put in their routing and account numbers and make a payment via ACH as well. For this, I'll just use credit card. Unlike the checkout, we do a pre-authorization and then the capture happens during the invoicing process. When they're making a payment, we actually do the capture on the web. So you don't have to worry about whether those funds are available by the time the cash receipt gets into Sage. So we can select invoices they want to pay. If you want to allow them to, like this is set up, they can partial pay invoices. So I'm only going to pay $1,000 on this invoice. Can add that to the register. If I decided I wanted to pay more, I could update that amount here too. So I'll do 1,100 instead, and we can place that payment. Just does the charge to the credit card, creates the pending payment. This is going to get exported to Sage as a cash receipt with the payment already applied to the invoices that the customer selected. So basically you'll see a cash receipt like this with the invoice and the amount paid. Unlike the sales orders that we went into pending and then it moved down to the accepted after it exported, this is actually going to stay in pending payments until you do your end of day processing. The reason being, this 1,100 is not yet in the customer's balance. And so when the customer is wondering why their balance is wrong, they want to be able to go to payments and say, oh, I have this pending payment that's not yet applied to my account. So we do leave that in pending payments until it gets posted inside of Sage. But we will update the payment with the deposit number as soon as that gets exported to Sage, which is taking a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and manually export that rather than taking time. So we'll go to the queue. And I lied because it's already exported now. So if we refresh this page, we do see the deposit number and the reference that got updated from the web. So if we go into Sage and we go to cash receipts entry, you can see we have a batch from today. You can choose how you want these payments to come in. You can do one batch per day and add the payments to that batch. You can have it only export the payments like once a day so that all of the payments come in at one time, and then you can review and post that batch. You can have them come in and create separate batches for each payment or each customer. You can do that as well. So you have some flexibility over how these batches get created. We'll go ahead and look at that payment that we created and look at the deposit. And you can see we have the credit card. We have the $1,100 that we paid. If we go to the payments, you can see credit card transaction is done. So this is already applied the credit card to the cash receipt entry here. And you can see it already set up the application. So we're paying this invoice. The invoice is $1,350. We're paying $1,100. So if we look at the balance after that, it'll be $1,250. So all of the manual entry around that cash receipt is completely done by the system. And so all you have to do is review and post the batch. So we will go back into the web. Alternative to making a payment would be to do a return. We have some simple integration with the Sage RMA. So customers can come in here. They can see their previous RMAs if they have them. They can create a new RMA and add items from their previous invoices. You can control this grid. So say you only allow returns for 90 days or 120 days. You can have this show 120 days or 90 days worth of their invoice history so that they can only select that for the return. Return reasons are coming from Sage. You can further filter those returns on reasons on the web too. So say maybe I don't want the word defective port defective showing up on the web anywhere, I may filter this out so it's not a return reason from my web customers. So we are bringing all the reasons from Sage, but you can filter these out and select the ones that you want to show up here. Actions, same thing. The standard Sage actions in the RMA is credit replacement repair. Say on the web you don't want to allow credit, you only allow replacement and repairs, then you can filter this and take credit out of this. So we'll go ahead and just choose replacement for that first one and then place this RMA. This is going to go up to pending RMAs. Much like the credit cards, the payments, this is not going to move to accepted RMAs until inside of Sage you change it to open. So this is going to come in as new. And then once you're accepting it, it'll move to open and you'll have the actual RMA number down here. Some customers remove this confirmation altogether. They don't want customers getting any sort of number or anything until they actually accepted it, and then all the information will be in the accepted RMAs later. So we can go to the queue for RMAs also, just to make sure that exports. We'll go into Sage. I'm going to go to RMA entry. And you can see I have that RMA from today. Its RMA, its status is new, so we'll change it to open. It's got the customer address information already and the lines that I selected along with the actions and everything else. So from here, you could process your replacement orders or your credit memos or whatever you're going to do for this customer. So we do have some other modules. I'm not going to go through them in detail here today, but one of them was for multiple customer or partner. So say you have like 5 Sage customer accounts and you have one login that you need on the web to be able to manage those customers, either an accounts payable department or a sales rep or something that's managing those 5 accounts. We do have multiple customer functionality where the customer can log in as one login and then they can choose the account that they want to be logged in after that. And then we have some other modules like, customer specific products, which would be for like proprietary products that only a customer or a specific group of customers can purchase. We have mobile apps and various other things that are available in the solution. So if you have any questions or specific needs, implore you to reach out to myself or Simon. For now, I'm going to pass this back to Simon. I appreciate everybody that showed up and listened to us today or that's listening later on the web. So thanks.
Great, thanks, Nick. So I'm just going to put my contact info up to wrap up here. As Nick alluded to there at the end, we do have CertiPro can also provide a convenient mobile commerce option. We can build out and develop a native mobile app, and these apps can be available on the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. So we know that also from our experience that no 2 web portals or websites are the same. Every site has a unique look and feel. So whatever your needs might be, CertiPro can, between having Sage developers and Magento developers in-house, if you need an end-to-end commerce solution or a business partner portal, we can manage the entire process for you. If you just need the Elink software piece to connect Sage to your existing website, we can absolutely have a conversation, and we can work with you or with your Sage business partner and or your web development team to provide recommendations and solutions to get that accomplished. So with that, that does wrap up our demo for today.